The 6-month mark was a good decision. The 3-month mark might not have hit the mark.
Yes, I have no complaints. In your Q1, essentially, the idea is to just observe client meetings with advisors, provide support in the background wherever they need it.
What have we changed in that Q2 leading up to Q3?
I'm sitting in on a lot of client meetings with advisors, and I initially started Q2 by presenting parts of the advice first. So just a few small sections. By the end of Q2, the idea is for me to be able to present an entire advice document to a client comfortably.
Is there something you've picked up from certain advisors?
Just how to approach these conversations with empathy and understanding. You might find that the professional year requirements might be a bit overwhelming, but once you get started, it's pretty easy to get through. There's lots of support available, not just within firms, but outside of that as well.
Welcome to another episode of My Risk Advisor. I'm Trent, and today I'm joined with Neha Sharma, and we'll be discussing the professional year program. Welcome, Neha.
Thanks, Trent.
Good to see you. For those people who haven't heard of the professional year, what is it?
So the professional year is essentially a structured learning year for those who want to become advisors here in Australia. And it basically bridges the gap between what you studied at uni and work that you'll be doing as a fully registered advisor. It's where you start applying everything that you've learned through formal education under supervision and guidance from senior advisors at whatever firm that you'll be at. And if you want to qualify as an advisor here in Australia, it is mandatory to go through your professional year. So it's split across 4 quarters, and each quarter will have certain targets, checklists that you'd have to meet before you can move to the next. And to be able to get well trained and qualified as an advisor.
Awesome. So 4 quarters, where do you currently sit?
So I'm currently halfway through my Q2, getting close to the end of Q2, actually. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Awesome. So you joined us in January of this year, 2025, and we're now in December, when at time of recording. You joined to start your professional year with Sky. Why did you think that was a good choice at that time in your career?
Just to give you a little background about myself, when I finished uni, I started off working for an insurance company, but in the actuarial space. So I worked there for about 5-6 years, and then I came across the financial advice profession. It really appealed to me, and I thought this is work that I would love to do. So I moved to Australia to do my master's in financial planning, and after that, the natural next step was for me to join a firm, do my professional year, and qualify as an advisor. So that's how I ended up joining Sky. The idea that I had initially was that I would start my professional year within 3 months of joining, given that I did have some prior experience in financial services. But that extended slightly to 6 months. So I started my PY in July of 2025, and now getting close to the end of Q2. I think just that additional 3 months helped me prepare a little more for the PY, because coming into risk advice, I did not actually know how much work is involved in the background. Even though I did have some insurance experience, I didn't know about all the work that goes into pre-assessments and applications, while we're giving risk advice to clients. So that additional 3 months helped me gain some knowledge there around all of the processes, helped me gain some confidence. And I think I was better placed starting my PY a little bit later than initially planned.
So knowing what you know now is what I'm hearing is the 6-month mark was a good decision, and the 3-month mark might not have hit the mark.
Yes, I have no complaints. If it was at that 3-month mark, I probably wouldn't have been a very good associate here to the advisors, or maybe not confident enough to start handling client meetings on my own. Yeah.
It is a good point. We have conversations with our associates and people that want to join the business in that advice role and starting the PY, and everyone wants to start today, start tomorrow. You're very similar. Yeah, pushing that out that extra 3 months. It's, if your career is going to be 30, 40 years long, what's an extra 3 months at the end of the day to make sure that we're starting off with the right foot and not making any mistakes is typically how we've looked at it, and make sure that PY is actually 12 months. A lot of firms would have the PY or the professional year, which in the name says a year, but it actually blows out to 18 months or 2 years, because by the time we're moving into different quarters, we're not ready to progress. So yeah, we've made it a bit of a rule, and what we want to do is stick to that 12 months and make sure that that happens, which is typically what we've done.
That's right, yeah. And I think it just gives everyone more clarity around the whole structure as well.
We're now 5 months into your professional year or thereabouts. What have you been doing during that time? And what were you doing before we officially started the PY as well?
So before I started the PY, I was involved in anything and everything around the business. So I started off with doing a lot of the tasks that our CSOs do, our client service officers. And so mainly a lot of admin work around applications, pre-assessments, collating all the information we receive through our fact find forms from our clients. Then I went into doing some advice prep. So what our paraplanners essentially do, preparing advice documents for clients. And this carried on into the first quarter of my PY, because in your Q1, it's essentially, the idea is to just observe client meetings with advisors, provide support in the background wherever they need it, post-meeting documentation, advice prep work, discussing strategies with advisors. So my first quarter wasn't too different from what I was already doing in my first 6 months at Sky.
Awesome. So yeah, the professional year, that first quarter is really just to begin that process and go, well, we're on the way to become an advisor. We've got this time frame and we've started it. But your work probably hasn't changed too much apart from knowing that we are moving to that next stage.
Yeah, the only difference I would say is in that first quarter, I had to actually start tracking all of my hours now and record all of my work experience, make sure that I'm hitting the required hours, because throughout the professional year, you need to meet 1,500 hours of work experience and 100 hours of structured learning through webinars, conferences, or whatever it may be. So just making sure that I'm hitting my quarterly targets there.
Yeah, so a shout out for the TAL PY software. So that's what you use to track your hours on. How does that go? Is it okay, pretty good?
Yeah, it's really easy to use. It's quite flexible in that you can add as much or as little detail as you want in there. At the end of each quarter, I would need to write up my reflections and submit that. And you as my supervisor would read through that, approve it. Phil as the licensee would also approve my submissions. And so the TAL software is pretty easy to use in that respect.
It's certainly far easier than the spreadsheets that were previously used. We've had 6 advisors now go through professional year. I think you're the 6th, sorry. So we've had 5 go through. And our earliest 2 or 3 didn't have the software at that stage. They were using a spreadsheet. So nowhere near as fun, nowhere near as easy. So shout out to TAL. And if anyone's looking to do the professional year, the TAL software is, I believe, free. So use that. That's the number one tool for professional years at the moment. So we just talked about quarter 1 there, where your work hasn't exactly changed. But what about quarter 2? What have we changed in that quarter 2 leading up to quarter 3? I mean, is there anything you've had to do outside of your day-to-day to be ready for quarter 3 as well?
So in the second quarter, this is where the professional year candidates are meant to start presenting advice to clients under supervision, of course, from the advisors. So I'm sitting in on a lot of client meetings with advisors, and I initially started quarter 2 by presenting parts of the advice first. So just a few small sections here and there, and just building up on that until by the end of quarter 2, the idea is for me to be able to present an entire advice document to a client comfortably, make sure that I'm comfortable enough and confident enough to answer any questions from the client. And quarter 3 will then be the same thing, presenting advice to clients, but under indirect supervision. So the advisor may or may not be sitting in on my meetings then.
Yeah, so we've had you go into all of our separate advisors. So we have currently nearly 10 advisors under our licensee at Sky. So what have you found different between the different advisors? Is there something you've picked up from certain advisors that you want to discuss?
Yeah, so the thing I like about all of the Sky advisors is that they're all very comfortable speaking to clients, and they all have their own communication style. And each one is able to adapt that to the kind of client that comes in, because some clients love a lot of detail and others would prefer just a big picture sort of scenario. Maybe they would prefer looking at graphs and diagrams rather than going through a lot of numbers. So all of our advisors really adapt their communication to that. And I have picked up a few things from them, just around how to have difficult client conversations. So insurance, the nature of our work involves having very sensitive discussions with clients. We're talking about their health, mental health as well, not just physical health. So just how to approach these conversations with empathy and understanding, and also throw in some humor in there. So all of our advisors really keep the meetings lighthearted, and that's something that I've picked up from them and I'd love to carry on in mine.
Yeah, the biggest part, and we go through the expected terms in our advice meeting and we get all that health. And I think the most nervous people are to talk about is when people have a BMI loading. So people are, outside of the comfortable range for insurers. How have you had to do that yet? Tell someone that their premiums are going to be high because of their weight?
Not yet. I haven't had any tough conversations in advice meetings so far, but I can give you what experience I've had with initial calls. So some people do tend to share, which I appreciate. They do tend to share a lot of their concerns and worries on the initial call itself. So what I learned from you from one of our first calls was just to let the client speak, not talk over them, not rush things. It helps everyone feel comfortable and helps them feel heard. So that's something I'm consciously doing now going forward. There's not much of a back and forth that goes on initial calls. So I would just want to, continue that and build up on that for advice meetings where I can give them some reassurance, talk about different options with the clients if they are in a tricky situation.
Yeah, it's something we focus on a fair bit. It's, as a new advisor, you want to feel like you can prove yourself and tell clients how much you know, but half the time they don't want to know. They just want to be heard and then understood, and then you can then add your value after that. Lots of learnings to go with. Yeah, lots of different advice meetings and different initial calls. It's we try and get as much experience in you as possible before you're thrown out there to be advising your own clients. So overcoming client objections and different things around that with our clients has been what you've been working on. What other hurdles within the formalities have you had to complete to get through to Q3?
Yep. So another thing with the professional year is that you need to pass the financial advisor exam before you can start quarter 3. This exam is administered by ASIC now. Previously, it used to be FASIA. So I sort of planned ahead after speaking with lots of associates in the industry. I thought it would be better for me to get the exam done earlier on, get it out of the way, one less thing to worry about. So I did my exam in June of this year.
First go.
Yes, first go, and thankfully I did pass it. It's a tricky exam to pass, so I'm happy that I passed mine early on. But yeah, it's something that you need to get done before you can move on to quarter 3.
So quarter 3, what are our plans for quarter 3 when it arises January 1 or thereabouts?
So with quarter 3, the plan is for me to take on clients on my own and basically take them through the whole advice journey from start to finish. I will be my own paraplanner, my own associate, my own CSO, essentially. So just doing everything from start to finish for these clients, and that includes presenting the advice to them during the meetings.
Awesome. So we've got a lot of different checkpoints within that as well. So it's not throwing into the wolves and say good luck. See how many clients you can get through over the next 3 months. We'll be riding along the way where we're checking off advice documents together my name's going to be on it too. So I need to be making sure that what we're presenting is up to scratch. So plenty of different things to follow, but you'll have plenty of support along the way. Amazing, Neha. So that's the first couple of quarters in the bag. We're going to catch up in a couple of months' time to discuss how quarter 3 went and what our plans are for quarter 4. Before we finish up here, do you have anything else that you want to discuss or any advice for anyone else that's going through the similar thing, whether it's Sky or elsewhere?
Yeah, sure. So if you're a student in uni looking to be an advisor, you might find that the professional year requirements might be a bit overwhelming. But once you get started, it's pretty easy to get through. There's lots of support available, not just within firms, but outside of that as well. Be curious, ask lots of questions. This is your chance to ask as many silly questions as you can. So I'm enjoying being in that phase once again in my career. And get help from or speak to other associates in the industry. So in fact, Ashley from our team initiated sort of a group chat on LinkedIn with other associates at different firms just to help learn more about what's going on at their firms. Some of them are working at holistic firms. Others might be working at other risk-only firms like ours. So just to get a better understanding of what's happening out there in the industry, learning more about other associates. Yeah, many of them are going through their PY. Others have just finished their PY as well. So it's a good mix, very interesting. We catch up once a month for dinner sometimes. So if you're interested in that, reach out and we'll add you to that group.
Awesome. Yeah, always good to see people going through the same thing in different firms, reaching out and connecting. And if there are anyone out there that are looking at putting professional year advisors on but don't know where to start, feel free to reach out. We're not perfect, but we've done it before, and we'll be able to point you in the right direction for a few things. It is a valuable experience to have someone complete the PY, and yeah, we'll continue to do that into the future. Awesome. Thanks for being here, Neha. It was a great episode.
Yeah, thanks, Trent.
Awesome. And for those that are watching this, there'll be a playlist on the screen. So yeah, if you're looking to watch any of our other episodes, they should be there for you, and look forward to seeing you next time.